Children, today we are going to discuss chapter 2, that is Introduction to Java. Teaching objectives of this chapter are types of Java programs, Java compilation process, and features of Java programming language. Learning outcomes. Students will be able to understand types of Java programs and Java compilation process, and also you will be able to understand various features of Java. Children, first we will see Java version. Here are the brief history of all Java version with its release date. First version of Java, which was released in 1995, was JDK Alpha and Beta, and the current version or the latest version which is available for us is Java Standard Edition 16, which was released in 16th March this year. Okay, and next version is expected to be released in September 2021. Now we will see where Java is used. Okay, Java is a third generation object-oriented programming language. It was developed by James Gosling at Sun Microsystems, and it is a platform independent programming language. Okay, so where all Java is used. Okay, so Java is used in mobile phones. Okay, so Android operating system itself is developed using Java, and most of the applications developed for Android platform are using Java programming language. Next, the programs which are used in points of sales systems, that is swiping machines, that program is also developed using Java only. And many video games we have which were developed using Java, and trading applications. Okay, these are related to the investment and trading and big data technologies, that is the latest technology also developed using Java. Children, now we will see types of Java programs. There are two types of Java programs. Means using Java programming language we can develop two types of Java programs. Okay, the first one is standalone Java application. As name suggests, standalone means independent. Okay, we will see what are all standalone Java applications. Okay, it refers to a Java program that can run independently on a computer. Okay, so a program which does not require any support of other application other than operating system, that is standalone application. Okay, so if that application is developed using Java, that is called as standalone Java application. Okay, so any Java class, here Java class means any Java application or program with a main method can be considered as mini standalone Java application. So here any standalone Java application will have main method. Okay, so example of standalone applications which you might be using now are MS Word, Adobe Photoshop, which don't require support of any other application or like internet. Okay, so independently you will be able to run these applications once it is installed. Okay, next, the second type of Java programs are Java applets. These are Java applications that run within a web browser. Okay, so Java applets will be running in web browser. Examples of web browser are Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Netscape Navigator, Mozilla Firefox. Where exactly they are used? Okay, they are mainly used for internet programming. Okay, so the applets are used to provide interactive features to web applications that cannot be provided by HTML alone. Okay, so whichever website you are visiting, children, so don't think that the entire website is developed using HTML. Okay, so wherever we need some interactive or attractive like animation, all those things will be using scripting languages, okay, like Java. So Java applets will be embedded or inserted within the HTML or web page. Okay, so which will make the web page interactive. Okay, those are Java applets, and these will be running on the client device, that is the user who is going to use the or access the website or web page. So now we will see the differences between standalone Java applications and applets. First we will see standalone Java applications, that is these are large programs and applets are small programs. Okay, since standalone Java applications need to be installed on the computer system, usually the program size will be large, whereas applets which are embedded within the web page or HTML code, the size of the program will be small comparatively. Okay, next difference is can be executed on standalone computer system, since it is installed on the device and it will be running independently. Okay, so whereas use it to run a program on client browser. Okay, so applets, since we embed an applet within the web page, we need a browser to run applet. Okay, so next is application have main method. Okay, so standalone applications will have main method, whereas applets will not have main method in the program. And the last one is standalone applications can run without web browser, whereas to run Java applet we need Java compatible web browser or Java enabled web browser. Okay, these are all the differences between standalone Java applications and applets. So now we will discuss evolution of programming languages. That is how exactly various programming languages are developed since the beginning of computer programming. Okay, so programming languages are broadly classified into low level and high level. Okay, so in general, low level means it is difficult for a programmer to learn and write program in low level. When it comes to high level, it is easy for a programmer to learn and write program using high level programming languages. Okay, now we will see under low level we have first generation and second generation programming languages. Okay, under first generation we have machine language which uses only two symbols, that is zeros and ones. Okay, in second generation we have assembly language in which programmer can use mnemonic codes to write a program in assembly language. Okay, so here the first generation and second generation comes under low level, which are very difficult for user to learn and write. Okay, so to simplify the task, high level programming languages are developed. Okay, so from first generation to second generation we have, so it is very difficult for a user to learn machine language because we don't use machine language or binary system or digital form in our daily life. So it will be completely new for a programmer to learn binary language to write instructions. So to simplify the task of a programmer in order to write complex programs, mnemonic codes were introduced in assembly language. Okay, so which minimizes the complexity of learning and writing a program. Still, in assembly language, the symbolic or notations were not used as we use in our real life or daily life or like mathematics. Okay, so here for example in assembly language this mnemonic code is used for add. Okay, add, 3-letter word. Okay, so even though it is easier than the sequence of zeros and ones, okay, so it is not reflecting the real life usage of addition operator or mathematical addition operators. Okay, so in order to minimize or make a programmer easy to learn and write, high level programming languages are developed. Okay, so in all these high level programming languages are close to English language and notations or symbols were introduced, like for addition directly we can use plus, which generally we use in our daily life, and also mathematics, okay, like for subtraction sub in assembly language, and in high level programming language directly I can use minus symbol, okay. So these are more easier than the assembly language or low level language. Basically all high level programming languages are close to English language, okay. So now we will see the uh, third generation, fourth generation, fifth generation, okay. These are close to the English, and these are purely programming languages which follows algorithms to write a program, okay. So these are fourth generation, in this more close to the English language, and these are used for database programming, that is fourth generation. In this again the complexity is minimized, okay. In the fifth generation programming languages are used to develop the latest technologies like artificial intelligence and robotics, okay. So we will see. Children, now we will see how exactly the programs written in various programming languages are executed on a computer system, okay. So if the program is written in machine language, that is using zeros and ones, as you know computer can understand instructions given in zeros and ones, so directly the computer will recognize the program written in machine language and it will process the instructions and we will get the result, okay. So when it comes to assembly language which uses mnemonic codes like add, subtract, move, so these will not be understood by machine or computer, because machine can understand only the machine language or binary language or instructions in digital form, okay. So in order to make it execute or to execute assembly program or program written in assembly language, we need translation, okay. We need to translate the program written in assembly language into machine language, okay. For that we use assembler, okay. Assembler itself is a system software, okay. It is a software again, okay. So this will translate, that is assembler will translate program written in assembly language into machine language. Then as per the instructions written, we will get, the machine will execute and we will get the result. So here we need assembler in order to execute a program written in assembly language, okay. So assembler is a translator which translates program written in assembly language into machine language, okay. Assembler is a system software, that is in general language translator, okay. So for assembler, input will be program written in assembly language, the output or result of assembler will be the program in machine language which will be executed by a computer, okay. Children, now we will see how exactly the program written in high level languages, that is instructions close to English language, okay. In any high level programming language the instructions will be close to English language. So how exactly the program will be executed when you use a high level programming language to write a program, okay. Now here technical term you need to remember source code, okay. A source code is a set of instructions written in a high level programming language, okay. So the program written in high level programming language in general it is called as source code, okay. If it is a C program, then C source code, C++ means C++ source code, and if it is Java, then Java source code. So in general program written in high level programming language is known as source code, okay. That is the program in high level programming language, okay. So again, as computer can't understand any high level programming language, we need to translate that into a machine language, okay. So the translated code is called as object code, okay. The translated code is called as object code, that is the code in machine language, okay. So that is the object code translated by a translator. Now we will see which program, okay. So which system software we need to translate program written in high level programming language into machine language. Okay, we have two system softwares, that is compiler and interpreter. Okay, so either I can use compiler or interpreter to translate source code into object code. Okay, here source code means again program written in high level programming language, and object code is the code in machine language. Okay, so either I can use compiler and interpreter. Okay, both are translators which translate the program written in high level language into machine language or source code into object code. Okay, so now we will see the difference between compiler and an interpreter. Okay, so the way of execution is different. Okay, the purpose is same, so both will serve the same purpose, that is translation of source code into object code. The way of translation is translating procedure is different. Okay, so first we will see the compiler translates entire program at once. Okay, so compiler will translate entire program at once, and interpreter translates a program line by line. Okay, so when it makes difference means if 10 lines program, okay, you consider 10 lines program, if we have 3 errors, okay, error at second line, okay, so error at fifth line and error at ninth line. Okay, so 3 errors you consider. So when I use the program of 10 lines with 3 errors at line number 2, 5, 9, so compiler will translate error free statements, okay, into an object code, and it displays the list of errors or summary of errors in the program. That is 3 errors will be displayed after first compilation. Okay, you consider this is a compilation. Okay, first compilation it will display the 3 errors. Okay, if I am able to rectify these 3 errors, okay, so second time itself I will get an output. Okay, so the program will become error free once I will rectify the errors at second statement, fifth statement and ninth statement, and I will get the result. Okay, so when it comes to an interpreter, you need to understand, children, when I use interpreter to translate the same program, so since it will check line by line, okay, so first it will translate the first line which is error free, and when it encounters a line with an error, okay, that is second line, interpretation stops. Okay, so interpretation stops. Okay, first time if I'll consider it as interpreter, okay, so for the first time, okay, so it will translate only a first line and it stops at second line and displays the error. Okay, so error at second line. Okay, now until unless you remove error in second statement, it will not check the third and fourth and so on statements. Okay, so again once after one interpretation, if I am able to correct the second line error, again I need to interpret. Okay, so now again we have error at fifth line, again it will stop at fifth line. Okay, so second time again it will stop at fifth line. If I remove error at fifth line, then only it will look or check for the remaining statement, that is 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so if I am able to remove, or if after rectification of fifth line or fifth statement error, again third time I need to interpret the program. Okay, so again as we have error at ninth line, again it will stop at ninth line. Okay, so ninth line, if error is rectified, okay, if error is rectified, then after interpreting fourth time I will get the result. Okay, so here we got the result at second compilation, but here we got result at fourth time interpretation. Okay, so here if more errors are there, okay, interpreter will take more time and compiler will take maximum, or that is a minimum 2 times only. If I am able to remove all the errors at once, in second compilation only I will get the result, but for each and every error I need to interpret the code again and again. Okay, so here the differences are the compiler translates the entire program at once and displays the summary of errors. Okay, so interpreter translates line by line and it stops as soon as it encounters a statement with an error. Okay, so and compiler is faster comparatively and interpreter is slower comparatively. Okay, these two differences you can remember, children. Okay, children, now we will see traditional compilation process. Traditional compilation process means how exactly any source code, that is program written in high level language, is compiled on various platforms. Okay, in order to execute a program on various platforms, how exactly compilation process takes place. Okay, in general, okay, the machine language version generated by compiler is specific to a platform. Okay, here platform in the sense two things will come. One is software, that is system software, and hardware. Okay, so system software is nothing but an operating system on which you are compiling the program, and hardware is the processor and RAM and other components will come, but we'll consider only here a system software, that is operating system, as a platform. Okay, so here we will be considering operating system. Okay, so here the object code, that is translated code generated by compiler, is specific to a platform, that is it is platform dependent. Okay, so it means if a program written in C++ you consider. Okay, one specific example we will take. If a program is written using C++, if I am compiling on Windows device, okay, Windows machine, the object code generated by Windows compiler can be understood by only Windows operating system. Okay, so the object code is platform dependent. Okay, operating system. Okay, this object code will not be understood or recognized by the device which has other than Windows like Unix or Mac. Okay, so similarly, if I execute or if I have compiled the C++ program on Unix device, the code or object code generated by Unix compiler will be recognized by only the Unix platform, that is Unix operating system. That cannot be directly executed on or recognized by other platforms like Windows or Mac. In the same way, if I have compiled the C++ program on Mac device, that object code generated by Mac compiler will be recognized by only a device which has Mac operating system. That will not be understood or recognized by other platform. Okay, so here in order to run a program which is written in high level programming language on various platforms, I need to make use of source code. Okay, so source code only I should take and I need to execute or compile on various platforms, because the object code generated by a compiler is platform dependent, that is it is relevant or it depends on the operating system which you are using. Okay, that cannot be executed directly on the device with other operating systems. So in general, the machine language version, that is object code generated by compiler, is platform dependent, that is specific to a platform. Okay, so one example I can take here. If you are having if you are using mobile phones with two different platforms, that is iOS and Android. Okay, so the application which is developed for Android is specific to Android platform, and the application which is developed for iOS is specific to that operating system. Okay, you cannot install the same application on two platforms. Okay, in the same way, the object code generated by compiler will be always specific to a platform, that is platform dependent, that cannot be directly executed on other platforms, because other platforms will not recognize object code generated by some other platform. Java compilation process. How exactly Java program will be executed when you execute on any device. So now we will see what happens when we compile a Java program. Okay. On compiling Java source code. So here Java source code is nothing but the program written in Java programming language. Okay. So when we compile Java source code with the Java compiler, bytecode is generated with the dot class file extension. Okay. So the extension of Java source code file or Java class file is .java, and when we compile the Java source code file, compiler generates bytecode file with the extension .class, which is machine language for Java virtual machine. Okay, so this bytecode will become machine language for JVM, that is Java virtual machine. It is called Java bytecode. Means Java compiler will generate Java bytecode after compiling the Java source code. This bytecode is read and interpreted by JVM, Java virtual machine, into an executable code. Okay, so when Java program is compiled, bytecode is generated from the compiler. Again, that bytecode will be interpreted by JVM, that is Java virtual machine, into executable code. Now we will see in detail how exactly the Java program executes. Children, now we will see what tools or what platform we need to develop and execute Java programs. Okay, so JDK, Java Development Kit. It is a software development environment used for making applets and Java applications. It contains tools required to write Java programs. Okay. So in order to develop Java applications or Java applets, we need Java Development Kit. What are all things it consists of? Okay, here you can see JDK. The entire platform is JDK, Java Development Kit. Okay, so it consists of JRE. Okay, this is JRE, this part, which consists of JVM and class libraries and other tools are required to develop Java program, that is compiler, debugger, etc. Okay, so if we want to execute uh, develop and execute Java programs, we need to install JDK. So when you install BlueJ to type and execute Java programs as per your curriculum, within BlueJ the JDK, Java Development Kit, is automatically installed. Okay, it comes as a bundle. Okay. So now we will see JRE, Java Runtime Environment. JRE contains class libraries. Okay, so JVM, Java Virtual Machine, and other supporting files. It does not contain any tool for Java development like a debugger. Okay, so JRE does not contain any tool for development like compiler or debugger. Okay, so it uses important packages. Okay, so within class libraries, okay, and packages, it contains important packages like util, long, AWT, and classes like math, swing, and also it contains runtime libraries. And any Java program will always run on JRE. Okay, so any applications or applets will be running on JRE. Okay, next, Java Virtual Machine. Okay, so it is part of JRE. Okay, it provides a platform independent way of executing Java source code. Okay, so here the bytecode generated by Java compiler is platform independent. Okay, so irrespective of the platform in which JVM is there, we will be able to execute the same bytecode on all the platforms. Okay, so JVM has numerous libraries, tools, etc. Okay, so once you run Java program, you can run on any platform and save lots of time. Okay, so once the bytecode is generated, okay, with that bytecode, or that bytecode can be executed on any platform running JVM. Okay. So JVM comes with, okay, within JVM what will be there? Just in time compiler that converts Java bytecode into low level machine language. Hence it runs more faster. Okay. So Java virtual machine makes the Java programming language as platform independent. Now we will see in detail. Okay, so Java component structure, how exactly Java programming language is platform independent. Okay, so when Java program is compiled, okay, so that code gets converted to a standard platform independent. Okay, this is very important. When Java code is compiled, that code gets converted into a platform independent set of bytecodes. Okay, the bytecode or bytecodes generated by Java compiler is platform independent, which are executed by Java virtual machine. Okay, so bytecodes will be again executed by Java virtual machine. Okay, so what is JVM? JVM itself is a separate program that is optimized for specific platform. Okay, each platform will have its own JVM. Okay, so installed on the platform. Okay, so JVM will be executing the bytecode. Okay, so this diagram illustrates how Java can maintain platform independence. Okay, so now you see children, generally any applications will be running on operating system directly, operating system as a platform, but Java application is running on Java virtual machine, not directly on the operating system. Okay, so each platform has JVM installed that is specific to operating system. Okay, again JVM whichever is installed on various platforms, that is specific to operating system only. Okay, so the Java bytecodes get interpreted through JVM into appropriate platform dependent actions. Okay, so since Java application runs on Java virtual machine, it makes the Java program or applications platform independent, because Java applications will be not running directly on operating system. So JVM executes the Java application, or Java application will be running on Java virtual machine, which is in Java runtime environment. So it makes Java application platform independent. Now you can see this operating system can be either Windows or Mac or Unix. Okay, so each operating system will have its own JVM installed on it. Okay, so for all JVM the bytecode is common. Okay, so we need not compile the Java source code for different separately for different platforms. Okay, so bytecode generated from any platform can be executed on JVM which is installed on any platform. Okay, so Java is platform independent programming language. Children, now we will discuss various features of Java programming language. The first one is simple. Okay, so it is a simple language that can be programmed without extensive programmer training. Okay, so we need not go for extensive programmer training. We can easily learn the programming language. The fundamental concepts of Java technology are grasped quickly. Means we'll be able to understand the technology very quickly. Okay, that is the first feature. So next one is robust. Okay, so the Java programming language is designed for creating highly reliable softwares, okay, which you can trust. Okay, why? The reason is it provides extensive compile time error checking. Okay, so and also the second level of runtime error checking. Okay, two levels of error checking will be there before executing the program or testing the program. Okay, the first level is compile time error checking. Okay, so that is before executing the program it will be checked for syntax, that is format. Next, if the syntax is correct, the program may consist of runtime errors. Okay, so while running, the program will be checked for runtime errors also. Okay, so and also the Java memory management is automatic. Okay, because of automatic garbage collection. Okay, so whenever any instance is not running or not required, automatically the memory will be cleared by the Java platform. Okay, so because of that, Java is a robust programming language. And the third one, secure. Okay, so the design of Java bytecodes and JVM specification allow for built-in mechanism to verify the security of Java binary code. Okay, so here the Java bytecode verifier step will be there, children. Before executing the Java bytecode which is generated by Java compiler, okay, that bytecode will be verified for whether any unauthorized access is there or not. Okay, so in the network environment, applications written in Java program language are secure from intrusion by unauthorized code. Okay, so whenever you are using Java programming in network environment, okay, so Java program always runs in a Java runtime environment, that is JRE. Okay, Java runtime environment with almost null interaction with the operating system. Hence, it is more secure. Okay, we have seen any Java application will be running on JVM, that is Java runtime environment. So it will not be directly interacting with the operating system. Hence, the Java applications are more secure. Now we will see the next feature, object oriented. Okay, so already you know Java is a object oriented programming language. Okay, so in Java everything is an object. Okay, and it can be easily extended since it is based on object model. Okay, we can extend the existing application easily because it is based on object model. Okay, you have seen the principles of object oriented programming language, and how exactly we can make uh, the existing program we can reuse. Okay, so next one is platform independent. Okay, already we discussed in Java compilation process. So other programming languages, when you compare, okay, unlike other programming languages such as C, C++, etc., which are compiled into platform specific machines. Okay, so in these languages the code or compiled code is specific to a machine on which it is compiled. Okay, but when it comes to Java, the bytecode generated by Java compiler is platform independent. Okay, irrespective of platform, the same bytecode can be executed on any platform. So Java is guaranteed to be write once, run anywhere. Okay, so source code will be written only once, and the generated bytecode can be executed on any platform. Here anywhere means on any platform. So Java is platform independent. And the last feature is multi-threaded. Okay, so Java multi-threading feature makes it possible to write programs that can do many tasks simultaneously. Okay, so here it is not multitasking. Writing a program in which multiple parts of the program will be simultaneously running. Okay, so what is the benefit of running multiple parts of the program simultaneously? Okay, benefit of multi-threading is that it utilizes same memory and other resources to execute multiple threads at the same time. Okay, multiple parts of the same program will be executing simultaneously and utilizing or it will make the efficient use of memory and other resources. Okay, so like while typing, grammatical errors are checked along. Okay, this is one example. Okay, when we type, okay, so we need not complete typing and go for grammar check or spell check. Okay, so while typing only, simultaneously grammatical error or spelling error will be checked along. Okay, that is two threads are running simultaneously, making or utilizing the memory at the same time. It makes efficient use of memory and other resources of the computer. Okay, this is the end of the chapter, children. Okay. Okay, so read the textbook and solve the